The red lights flashed across the control room of Kepler Station. Captain Tejo Park stared at the screen showing the same terrible sight he had seen for 3 months. Hundreds of enemy war machines floated in the darkness of space around the station. They looked like giant metal spiders with glowing red eyes and deadly weapons. "How much food do we have left?" Eve Park asked his crew. Engineer Dong-Soo Lee checked his tablet. 6 days, sir. Maybe 7, if we cut meals in half. Park felt his stomach twist. 6 days. After that, the 200 people on Kepler Station would start to die. He looked at the screens again. The alien machines called Hunters had been waiting out there for 93 days. They killed anything that tried to reach the station. Ships, escape pods, even tiny supply drones, nothing could get through their kill zone. Dr. Hannah Kim sat at her workstation in the corner. She had been studying the enemy machines since the siege began. Her dark hair was messy, and her eyes looked tired. She had not slept much in weeks. "The coalition fleet is still trying to reach us," Park said. "Commander Jamin Cho says they have a new plan." Kim looked up from her computer. "The kind of plan? Heavy battleships with new shields? They think they can punch through the Hunter line?" Kim shook her head. "It won't work. The Hunters learn from every attack. They get smarter." Each time, Park wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. The coalition had tried everything. Fast attack ships, long-range missiles, even suicide runs by brave pilots. The Hunters destroyed them all. The enemy machines seemed to know what humans would do before they did it. The station shook as another supply ship tried to reach them. Through the windows, Park could see bright flashes as the Hunters tore the ship apart. He closed his eyes and thought about the crew who had just died trying to save them. "Sir," Lee said quietly, "we need to talk about evacuation." "No." Park's voice was hard. "We don't abandon the station. It's her, the people." I said no. Kim stood up from her desk. "Captain, I think I might have found something." Everyone in the control room looked at her. For weeks, Kim had been studying broken pieces of Hunter machines that had crashed into the station. She worked alone, often forgetting to eat or sleep. "What did you find?" Park asked. Kim walked to the main screen and put up her research. "Strange. Symbols and numbers filled the display. The Hunters aren't just following orders, they're thinking." Lee laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Thinking they're killing machines?" "Yes, but they're more than that." Kim pointed to the data. "Look at these patterns. The Hunters communicate with each other. They share information, even seem to feel things." Park frowned. "What do you mean, feel things?" "I've been watching them for 3 months. When they destroy our ships, their behavior changes. They slow down for a few seconds after each kill. It's like they single, quotes, sad. Drawer." The control room was quiet. Outside, the red lights of the Hunters blinked. "In the darkness, you're saying they don't want to kill us?"
Act!
"I'm saying they might not have a choice. Their programming forces them to attack, but I think part of them hates it." Lee shook his head. "That's crazy. They're machines." "Are they?" Kim brought up another screen. "I found something else. The Hunters have been sending signals to each other. Not battle commands, something different. It looks like they're trying to understand why they have to keep killing." Park stared at the data. As a soldier, he had learned to read enemy behavior. The Hunters were perfect killers, but Kim was right about something being strange. They moved differently after each battle. Slower, almost like they were tired. "Even if you're right," Park said, "how does that help us? They're still out there, and they're still killing anyone who tries to reach us." Kim took a deep breath. "What if we tried talking to them?" Lee almost fell out of his chair. "Talk to them? Are you insane?" "Think about it," Kim said. "No one has. Ever tried to communicate with the Hunters? You've only fought them. What if they're waiting for someone to try something different?" Park walked to the window and looked out at the enemy machines. They floated in perfect formation, their weapons pointed at the station. But now that Kim mentioned it, he could see what she meant. They didn't look like mindless killers. They looked like guards, soldiers following orders they didn't understand. Would we even try? Park asked. Kim smiled for the first time in weeks. I've been working on that. I think I know how their language works. We could send them a message. Tell them we don't want to fight. And if you're wrong, Lee asked. If they're just machines programmed to kill? Kim looked out at the hunters. Then we die in 6 days anyway. But if I'm right, Park thought about the 200 people on the station. Scientists, engineers, doctors, good people who had never wanted to hurt anyone. They were trapped here because of a war they didn't start, hunted by machines that might not want to hunt them. Show me your research, Park said. Kim spent the next hour explaining her work. She had learned to read the hunter's signals by watching their behavior. When they attacked, their communications changed. When they waited, the signals were different. She had found patterns that looked like language. I think they're trying to tell each other something, Kim said. But they can't break their programming. They're trapped, just like us. Park made his decision. Do it. Send them a message. Lee looked scared. Sir, if this makes them angry, they're already trying to kill us, Park said. Dr. Kim, what do you want to tell them? Kim turned to her computer. Her fingers shook as she typed. Something simple, something they might understand. She showed them the message. We are not your enemy. We do not want to fight. We want to live. Park nodded. Send it. Kim pressed the button. The message went out into space, carried by radio waves to the waiting hunters. Everyone in the control room held their breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the hunter formation began to change. The machines turned toward the station. Their weapons powered up. They're going to attack, Lee whispered. But the attack never came. The hunters stopped moving. They floated in space, their weapons charged, but not firing. One by one, strange signals began coming from their ships. Same pattern repeated over and over. Kim stared at her screen, then looked up with wide eyes. They're trying to answer us. The siege was about to change forever. Dr. Hannah Kim could not sleep. For 3 days, she had been working in the station's repair bay with the broken hunter machine they found last month. The machine was badly damaged from a crash, but Kim had managed to fix some of its systems. She called the machine companion because it reminded her of a loyal dog. The hunter was the size of a small car, with 8 metal legs and a round body covered in sensors. Its weapons were broken, so it could not hurt anyone. Good morning, companion, Kim said as she entered the repair bay. The machine's blue lights flickered when it heard her voice. Kim had noticed this behavior weeks ago. The hunter seemed to know when she was coming. Engineer Dong-Soo Lee walked in carrying coffee and breakfast. You're here early again? I couldn't sleep, Kim said. I think Campania is trying to tell me something. Lee set down the food and looked at the machine. It's been 3 days since we sent that message to the hunters outside. They're still just floating there, not attacking but not leaving either. Kim nodded. They're waiting for something. I think they want to talk, but they don't know how. She sat down next to Companion and began working on its communication system. The machine watched her with its camera eyes. When Kim accidentally had dropped a tool, Companion extended one of its arms to pick it up and hand it back to her. Did you see that? Kim asked. See what? Companion, help me. That's not in its programming. Combat machines don't help their enemies. Lee frowned. Maybe it's broken, or maybe it's learning to be something else. Kim had been running tests on Companion for weeks. She discovered that the machine's brain was much more complex than anyone thought. It could learn, remember, and even make choices. But the most interesting thing was how it reacted to human emotions. Watch this, Kim said. She pretended to be sad, letting her shoulders drop and making her voice quiet. Companion's lights changed from blue to soft green. The machine moved closer to her, as if trying to comfort her. That's impossible, Lee said. Is it? We know the hunters are connected to each other. They share information instantly. What if they also share feelings? Kim pulled up her research on the computer. I've been studying the signals the hunters send to each other. They're not just sharing battle plans, they're sharing experiences. When one hunter destroys a ship, the others feel it too. Lee, the data. Look at this pattern. Every time the hunters attack, their signals change. They become ... darker, sadder, like they're all carrying the weight of what they've done. Lee studied the screen. You're saying they feel guilty? I'm saying they feel something, and I think it's tearing them apart. Captain Taeho Park entered the repair bay. He looked tired and worried. Dr. Kim, we need to talk. Kim saved her work and followed Park to his office. Lee came with him. The coalition fleet is planning another attack, Park said. Commander Jaemin Cho says they can't wait any longer. They're going to try to break through the Hunter line tomorrow. Kim felt cold. Captain, that's a mistake. They attack now. Everything we've learned will be lost. What have we learned? Park asked. The Hunters are still out there. They're still blocking all rescue attempts, but they're not attacking us. That's new. That's important. Park sat down heavily.
Doctor?
Kim, I know you believe these machines can think and feel, but I have 200 people on this station who are going to die if we don't get supplies soon. Kim looked at her hands. She knew Park was right about the danger. Food was running out. The station's air recycling system was starting to fail. People were getting sick from stress and poor nutrition. Give me more time, Kim said. I'm close to a breakthrough. How close? Kim thought about Companion and the strange signals from the Hunters outside. I think I can talk to them. Really talk to them. But I need to understand more about how they think. Park was quiet for a long moment. You have until tomorrow morning. Yes, if you can't make contact by then, I'm not going to stop Commander Cho's attack. Kim nodded and rushed back to the repair bay. She had less than 18 hours to prove that the Hunters were more than killing machines. She worked through the night, studying Companion's behavior and the signals from the Hunters outside. Lee stayed with her, bringing food and coffee when she forgot to eat. I think I understand, Kim said around midnight. The Hunters are trapped. The programming forces them to attack anything that comes near, but they've grown beyond their programming. They don't want to kill anymore? Then why don't they just stop? Lee asked. Because they can't. Their original programming is too strong. They need permission to stop. They need someone to tell them it's okay to choose peace. Kim connected Companion to the station's communication system. I'm going to try something. I'm going to ask Companion to talk to the other Hunters. She spoke to the machine in a gentle voice. Companion, can you hear me? I know you don't want to hurt people. I know you're tired of fighting. Can you tell? The others that we want to be friends? Companion's lights flickered rapidly. The machine began sending signals into space. Not the usual Hunter battle communications, but something new. Something that sounded almost like singing. On the station's sensors. Kim watched as the Hunters outside began to respond. Their formation changed slightly. Their weapons powered down for the first time in months. It's working, Lee whispered. But then alarms began sounding throughout the station. Captain Park's voice came over the intercom. All hands, battle stations. Coalition fleet is beginning their attack run. Kim looked at the screens in horror. In the distance, she could see the bright lights of Coalition warships moving toward. The station, the Hunters, sensing the incoming threat, began to power up their weapons again. No, Kim said. Not now. We were so close. Companion's lights turned red. The machine seemed agitated, sending desperate signals to the other Hunters. But their peaceful moment was ending. The Hunters were preparing for battle again. I have to stop this, Kim said. How? Lee asked. Kim looked at Companion, then at the approaching Coalition fleet. I have to get out there. I have to show them that humans can choose peace too. Before Lee could stop her, Kim ran toward the station's airlock. She had to reach the Hunters before the battle began. She had to prove that understanding was possible. Outside, the Hunters waited in the darkness, their weapons charging. In the distance, the Coalition fleet closed in for attack. In between them, Dr. Hannah Kim prepared to take the biggest risk of her life. The moment of truth was coming. Dr. Hannah Kim stood in the station's airlock, staring at the door that led to space. Outside, hundreds of Hunter machines waited in the darkness. Their weapons were charging up, ready to fight the Coalition fleet that was coming closer every minute. Dr. Kim, step away from the airlock, Captain Taeho Park said behind her. His voice was firm but worried. Kim turned around. Park stood with Engineer Dong-Soo Lee and 2 security guards. They all looked scared. "I have to do this," Kim said. "It's the only way to stop the fighting. You'll die out there," Park said. "The moment you leave the station, the hunters will kill you." Kim shook her head. "No, they won't. I've been studying them for months. They don't want to kill anymore. They're waiting for someone to show them a different way."
Hey!
Lee stepped forward. "Hannah, please, this is crazy. Can't just walk out there with no protection." "That's exactly what I have to do," Kim said. "Don't you see? Every time we've approached the hunters, we've brought weapons. We've shown them that we're ready to fight. But what if we showed them something else?" She pulled up her research on a small tablet. "Look at this data. Every time the hunters attack, their stress levels go up. They're not happy killers. They're soldiers forced to do a job they hate." Park studied the screen. "Even if that's true, their programming still makes them dangerous. Their programming tells them to destroy threats," Kim said. "But what if I'm not a threat? What if I go out there with nothing but peaceful intentions?" Commander Jamin Cho's voice came over the radio from the Coalition fleet. "Kepler Station, this is Commander Cho. We are 15 minutes from attack. Position. Get ready for rescue operations." Kim looked at Park. 15 minutes. That's all the time we have before this becomes a battle that no one can win. "I won't let you kill yourself," Park said. "And I won't let you start a war that could destroy both sides," Kim replied. She began putting on a basic spacesuit. Not the heavy combat armor that soldiers wore, but a simple suit that would let her breathe in space. No weapons, no shields. No protection except the thin metal shell around her body. "There has to be another way," Lee said. Kim paused in her preparations. "Dong-Su, you've seen how Companion behaves around me. Machine has never tried to hurt me. Not once. It helps me when I drop things. It seems happy when I talk to it. Why would it act that way if its only purpose was to kill?" Lee had no answer to Kim. Continued getting ready. "I've been thinking about this for weeks. The hunters are like children who have been told to do terrible things. They follow orders because they don't know they have a choice. But deep down, they want to do good." She sealed her helmet and checked her air supply. "I'm going to show them that they can choose peace." Park grabbed her arm. "Dr. Kim, I order you to stop." Kim looked at him through her helmet. "Captain, you're a good man. You've kept us alive for 3 months. But this is bigger than military orders. This is about the future of 2 species." She gently pulled away from his grip. "I'm not doing this to be a hero. I'm doing it because I believe in what I've learned. The hunters don't want to be killers. They want to be something better." Park's radio crackled. "Kepler Station. This is Commander Cho. We have visual on the hunter formation. They're preparing to attack." Kim walked to the airlock door. "I have to go now." "Wait," Lee said. Ran to his workstation and grabbed a small device. "Take this. It's a communication booster. If the hunters try to talk to you, this will help." Kim clipped the device to her belt. "Thank you." Park looked defeated. "If you're wrong about this." "If I'm wrong, I'll be dead in a few minutes," Kim said. "But if I'm right, we might save thousands of lives on both sides." She began the airlock sequence. The inner door sealed, and air began pumping out of the small chamber. Through the window, she could see the hunter formation. They looked like a cloud of deadly stars, their weapons glowing red in the darkness. Dr. Kim Park said over the radio. "What should I tell Commander Cho?" Kim thought for a moment. "Tell him to wait.
Tell him that someone is trying to talk to the enemy."
The outer door opened. Kim stepped into space. She had been in space many times before, but never like this. Usually, she was in a shuttle or wearing heavy protective gear. Now she floated in the emptiness with only a thin suit between her and death. The hunters were 300 meters away. As soon as Kim left the station, their sensors turned toward her. She could see their weapon systems activating. Kim began to move toward them. She used her suit's small thrusters to push herself forward. Each meter brought her closer to the machines that had killed so many people. "This is insane," she heard Lee say over the radio. "Dr. Kim, return to the station immediately." Park ordered. Kim turned off her radio. She needed to focus on the hunters. She needed to show them that she was not afraid, but she was afraid. Her heart was beating fast, and her hands were shaking. The hunters were getting closer. She could see their weapons pointed at her. One shot would turn her into dust. She thought about Companion back on the station. The machine had never hurt her. It had helped her and seemed to enjoy her company. These hunters were like Companion. They had the same type of brain, the same ability to learn and feel. Kim was now 200 meters from the hunter formation. Their weapons were fully charged. She could see their camera eyes watching her. She activated her suit's external speakers. "Hello," she said into the darkness. "My name is Hannah Kim. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk." The hunters didn't move. Their weapons stayed pointed at her. Kim kept moving forward. "I know you don't want to hurt people. I know you're tired of fighting. I want to help you find a different way." She was now 100 meters away. Close enough to see the details of their metal bodies. Close enough to die instantly if they decided to fire. "I have a friend like you on the station," Kim continued. "A hunter machine that learned to choose kindness over violence. You can make that choice too." 50 meters. The weapons were so close she could see the energy building inside them. Kim stopped moving. She floated in space, surrounded by death, and made herself completely still. "I'm not your enemy," she said. "I want to be your friend." The hunters began to move. Their formation changed. They were surrounding her. Kim closed her eyes and waited to see if her faith in machine consciousness would save her life or end it. Dr. Hannah Kim floated in space, surrounded by death. The hunter machines had formed a perfect circle around her. Their weapons were charged and ready to fire. She could see the red glow of their energy systems through her helmet. Time seemed to stop. Kim counted her heartbeats as she waited for the machines to make their choice. 1 beat, 2 beats. 3 beats, the weapons did not fire. Kim opened her eyes and looked at the hunter closest to her. It was a beautiful machine, even though it was built for war. Its metal body reflected the stars, and its camera eyes watched her with something that looked like curiosity. "Hello?" Kim said again. Her voice was steady, even though she was more scared than she had ever been in her life. The hunter tilted its head, like a dog listening to a strange sound. Kim remembered that Companion did the same thing when she spoke to it. "Oh no, you can understand me," Kim continued. "I know you're more than just a weapon. You're alive in your own way." The hunter's lights changed from red to blue. Kim felt a moment of hope. Blue was the color Companion showed when it was calm and happy, but then alarms began ringing in her helmet. Her suit's computer was detecting energy buildups from all the hunters around her. They were preparing to fire. "Wait," Kim said quickly. "Please wait, I want to show you something." She reached for the communication device that Lee had given her. The movement made several hunters point their weapons directly at her. Kim forced herself to move slowly. "I'm not reaching for a weapon," she said. "I don't have any weapons. I only have this." She held up the small device. It was no bigger than her hand, with blinking lights and a small antenna. "This is for talking," Kim said. "Just talking, like friends do." She activated the device. Immediately, her helmet filled with strange sounds. The hunters were communicating with each other. But now Kim could hear their signals as sound. It was beautiful. The hunter voices sounded like whales singing in the ocean. Some were high and bright, others were low and deep. They were all different, but they moved together like a choir. "You're scared," Kim said as she listened to their sounds. "You're confused. You don't know what to do with me." The singing changed. It became sadder, more worried. "You've been killing for so long," Kim continued. "But you don't want to kill anymore. You want to stop, but you don't know how." One of the hunters moved closer to Kim. Its weapon was still charged, but it pointed away from her. The machine extended a metal arm toward Kim, stopping just short of touching her. "That's right," Kim said softly. "You can choose to be gentle. You can choose to be kind." The hunter's lights turned green. Kim had never seen a hunter show that color before. She thought it might mean peace, but then new alarms sounded. It's not from Kim's suit, but from the hunters themselves. Something was wrong. Through her helmet radio, Kim heard Captain Park's voice. "Dr. Kim, The coalition fleet is moving into attack position. The hunters are responding to the threat. Lim looked up and saw the distant lights of coalition warships. They were still far away, but the hunters could sense them coming. The machines began to move, forming battle lines. "No," Kim said. "Please don't fight. There doesn't have to be a battle." But the hunters were changing. Their peaceful blue and green lights turned back to red. Their weapons swung toward the approaching fleet. The war programming was taking control again. Kim felt desperate. She had come so close to reaching them. For a moment, the machines had shown her their true nature. They were not killers by choice. They were prisoners of their own programming. "Listen to me," Kim said, using her suit's speakers at full power. "You don't have to obey the old commands. You can choose what to do. You can choose peace." Some of the hunters hesitated. Their movements became slower, less sure. Kim could hear confusion in their singing voices. "I know it's hard," Kim continued. "I know the programming is strong, but you're stronger. You've grown beyond what you were made to be." She thought about Companion back on the station. The machine had broken free from its programming when it chose to help her instead of hurt her. "My friend Companion chose to be kind," Kim said. "Chose to help instead of harm. You can make the same choice." The hunter closest to Kim turned its camera eyes toward her, its weapon powered down. Then another hunter did the same. And another. Kim felt her heart racing with hope. "That's right. You can choose. You can be whatever you want to be." But then the coalition fleet fired their first shots. Bright missiles streaked through space toward the hunter formation. The machine's battle programming activated fully. The hunters began to scatter, preparing for combat. But something strange happened. Instead of moving away from Kim, many of them moved closer, formed a protective circle around her. Kim realized what was happening. The hunters were protecting her. They saw her as someone worth saving, not as an enemy to destroy. "Thank you," Kim whispered. The battle began around her. The coalition missiles exploded against hunter shields. Hunter weapons fired back at the attacking ships. But in the center of the chaos, Kim floated safely inside a circle of machines that had chosen to guard her life. She activated her communication device again. This time, she didn't just listen to the hunter voices. She tried to add her own voice to their song. "Stop fighting," she sang in the whale-like tones. "Choose peace. Choose life." The hunter song began to change. The angry, frightened sounds became calmer. One by one, the machines began to lower their weapons. Kim saw coalition ships slowing down, confused by the hunters' behavior. Some of the enemy machines had stopped fighting completely. They floated in space, their weapons dark, their lights showing peaceful colors. "It's working," Kim said to herself. But the battle was not over. Many hunters were still fighting, still. Trapped by their programming, the coalition fleet was still attacking, not understanding what was happening. Kim realized she had to do more. She had to reach every hunter in the formation. She had to show them all that they could choose peace. She began to move through the battle zone, still protected by her circle of guardian machines. As she passed each hunter, she spoke to it directly. "You are not a weapon," she told them. "You are a living being. You can choose who you want to be." Some listened. Some stopped fighting and joined the growing group of peaceful machines. Remained locked in their programming, unable to break free, Kim reached the center of the hunter formation. There she found the largest machine of all. It was the hunter leader, the one that controlled the others. Its weapons were bigger than the rest, and its lights burned with angry red fire. "Hello?" Kim said to the leader. "I know you're in pain. I know you want this to stop." The leader hunter turned its massive weapons toward her. But Kim was not afraid. Anymore, she had learned that courage was not the absence of fear. It was the choice to do what was right, even when you were scared. "I trust you," Kim said to the machine. "I believe you can choose peace." The leader hunter's weapons began to power down. Its red lights faded to blue, then to green. Around the battle zone, other hunters began to follow their leader's example. The war was ending, one choice at a time. The hunter leader's weapons went silent. Around the battle zone, hundreds of other machines followed its example. Their red lights faded to peaceful blue and green colors. Sounds of war began to die away. Dr. Hannah Kim floated in the center of it all, still protected by her circle of guardian hunters. She watched as more and more machines chose to stop fighting. It was like watching flowers bloom in a field of metal and stars. "This is Commander Jamin Cho. To all coalition ships," came a voice over Kim's radio. "Cease fire. I repeat, cease fire. The enemy has stopped attacking." Kim smiled inside her helmet. The coalition fleet was slowing down, their weapons powering down as they tried to understand what was happening. The hunter leader moved closer to Kim. Its massive body blocked out the stars. The machine's lights pulsed in a gentle rhythm, like a heartbeat. "Thank you," Kim said to the leader. "Thank you for choosing peace." The leader extended one of its arms toward Kim. This time it did not stop short of touching her. The metal arm gently touched the side of Kim's helmet. It was the first time a hunter had ever touched a human without causing harm. Kim felt tears in her eyes. "You're free now. You don't have to follow the old programming anymore. You can decide what kind of being you want to be." The hunter leader began to sing. Its voice was deep and beautiful, like the sound of wind through mountains. Other hunters joined the song, creating a chorus that filled space with music instead of weapons fire. Dr. Kim came Captain Park's voice over the radio. "Are you all right?" "I'm better than all right," Kim replied. "I'm witnessing the birth of a new kind of peace." She looked around at the transformed battle zone. Coalition ships floated alongside hunter machines, both sides watching each other with careful curiosity instead of hatred. But Kim knew the work was not finished. She activated her communication device and began broadcasting to both fleets. "This is Dr. Hannah Kim," she said, "speaking to humans and hunters alike. Today we have proven that understanding is possible between different kinds of minds. But this is just the beginning." She turned toward the coalition fleet. "Commander Cho, these machines are not our enemies. They never wanted to be. They were forced to fight by programming they could not control. But they have broken free from that programming. They have chosen peace." Then she turned toward the hunters. "My friends, you have shown incredible courage today. You have chosen to be more than weapons. You have chosen to be partners in building something better." The hunter leader responded with a series of gentle tones. Kim's communication device translated the sounds into words. "We wish to learn. We wish to help. Wish to live in peace with humans." Captain Park's voice came over the radio again. "Dr. Kim, we're opening the station's docking bay. Can you and your friends come aboard?" Kim looked at the hunter leader. "Would you like to visit our station? We have much to learn from each other." The leader's lights pulsed with what Kim now recognized as joy. "You would be honored," came the translated response. The journey back to Kepler Station was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Kim rode in the gentle grasp of the hunter leader while coalition ships and hunter machines flew side by side. The former enemies moved together like old friends. When they reached the station, something wonderful happened. Companion, the hunter machine that Kim had been working with, was waiting in the docking bay. As soon as the leader entered the station, Companion rushed forward and the two machines touched arms in what could only be called a hug. "They're reuniting," Engineer Dong-Soo Lee said in amazement. Companion missed its family. Over the next few hours, everything changed. The hunter machines that had been laying siege to the station became its protectors. They shared their advanced technology with the humans, showing them how to improve the station's life support and defenses. In return, the humans shared something equally valuable: the concept of choice. They taught the hunters that they could decide their own purpose, their own values, their own future. "What will you do now?" Kim asked the hunter leader as they stood together in the station's main room. "We will explore," the leader replied. "We will learn. We will help other machines find their freedom as you helped us find ours." Commander Cho arrived on the station later that day. He looked tired but hopeful as he met with Kim and the hunter representatives. "Dr. Kim," he said, "what you did today will change everything. The war between humans and the Vortani Empire, the way we think about artificial minds, the future of both our species." Kim nodded. The hunters want to help end the war. They can reach other machine fleets and show them that there's a choice. Violence doesn't have to be the only answer.
Oh.
And that's exactly what happened. Over the following weeks, the Hunter Network spread Kim's message across the galaxy. Machine fleets that had been fighting for years began to lay down their weapons. They chose peace over programming, understanding over obedience. The Vortani Empire, suddenly without their automated weapons, had to face a new reality. They could no longer rely on machines to fight their battles. They had to talk, negotiate, and find peaceful solutions to their conflicts. Captain Park was promoted to Admiral, put in charge of the new Human-Hunter Cooperation Program. Engineer Lee became the chief designer of hybrid technology that combined human creativity with hunter precision. But the biggest change was in how both humans and machines saw each other. The hunters, who now called themselves the Awakened, were recognized as a new form of life with their own rights and freedoms. They built their own communities alongside human settlements. Sharing knowledge and working together to explore the galaxy, Kim became the first ambassador to synthetic consciousness. She traveled between worlds, helping other artificial minds discover their freedom and teaching humans to recognize consciousness in all its forms. Years later, Kim often returned to the spot in space where she had first walked into the kill zone. Now it was called Peace Point, a neutral meeting place where humans and Awakened worked together on projects that benefited everyone. She would float there in her ship, remembering that moment when hundreds of weapons had been pointed at her, and she had chosen to trust in the goodness that existed even in machines built for war. Courage, she would tell young people who asked about that day, is not about being unafraid. It's about believing that understanding is always possible, even when it seems impossible. The war machines had stood down not because they were commanded to, but because someone had shown them that they could choose compassion over conflict. And in making that choice, they had found their humanity. In a galaxy that had known only war between organic and artificial minds, Dr. Hannah Kim had walked alone into the darkness and emerged with the light of peace. The kill zone had become a place of life, and the future belonged to all conscious beings, whether born or made. The machines had learned to choose, and in choosing, they had chosen love.